Hello and welcome to our used car review today of the Honda S2000. Now, depending on what type of car enthusiast you are, you might either know this car from when it was launched new, when you played Gran Turismo, or when you watch the Fast and Furious franchise series. We need to do a review on this car because it's pretty special, and it seems to me like the prices on these cars are actually going up. So there must be a good reason why people are starting to show a lot of interest in the Honda S2000 and why car enthusiasts are trying to snap this car up. Now, there's a lot of cons about this car. It's cramped inside, things are rattling, it's tight to get in, big people are going to struggle to sit inside this car, but there are many pros. So we're going to focus on the pros and the cons today so that you can understand what the Honda S2000 is all about, and so that I can make a decision to decide if the Honda S2000 is actually worth all the hype. Now, many supercars launch off concept cars. We've seen that with the Audi R8, and of course many other manufacturers have done that. The Honda S2000 is actually no different. The Honda S2000 launched off a concept car that's called the SSM. Honda launched the SSM concept car in 1995, and it was essentially a part spin special from the Honda NSX and various other models. It had a VTEC engine as well, and it was essentially a playground for Honda to build a car that will celebrate what Honda was at that time. And what was Honda? Well, it was their 50th anniversary coming up, and it was also the era where Honda was doing extremely well with McLaren, and they were also working directly with Ayrton Senna. So it was essentially the heyday of Honda's technology at that period when they were involved with racing. And then of course the company had to build something special in order to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And that's all of those events is actually what spawned the Honda S2000. And over the years, there are people that have loved this car, that have hated this car, but love it or hate it, the Honda S2000 is an absolute classic, and we're gonna check this car out today. I've only driven this car for a couple of hours today. Now I can tell you now that this is a horrible daily driver. I would hate my life if I must drive this car every day, simply because it's just not practical. The only place where I can put my phone is essentially in the door card. I put a water bottle here. I can't access the handbrake easily. I also can't change gears easily. And to get inside here, the roof is down now. I've knocked my shin against this lower part of the dashboard. For passengers, there's definitely not enough space for their storage as well. You do have a little compartment here in the middle that you can store small things in, like your wallet. It's also where you can open the boot. But that's all the cons. Pros, driver focused. The left side of the dashboard, there's pretty much nothing going on. And when you're sitting over here, everything is focused on the driver. First thing that the driver obviously sees is the digital cluster. And this cluster is another love and hate component of the car. This cluster is actually inspired by the McLaren MP4 Formula 1 car, and it's a direct replica of that cluster. So if you go look at the photo that we're overlaying now of the MP4 cluster, you'll see that it actually looks quite similar to this one inside the car, and I actually love it. It looks quite cool, although it hasn't aged quite well in the sense that it's not modern anymore. I think it's a good component in the car to actually show where it comes from. The steering wheel is non-adjustable. That's a problem. The seats can only move forward and backwards. That's also a problem. But once you're inside here, it just feels like a cockpit that is meant and set up for a driver. Everything is easily accessible. You have this engine start button here, which acts as a starter. This is not keyless start. So you actually have to put the key in the ignition, start the car, and then press the start button. But everything inside here is just driver focused. It's easy to access. All the buttons have aged okay. They don't look too bad. The plastics do look a bit on the flimsy side, but they've aged fairly well. Door cards over here wrapped in leather as well. You've got some controls on here. They pretty much, everything is set up for the driver to just access very easily. What I do like about the interior is the shifter. This shifter is absolutely amazing. It's extremely short, and there's virtually very little travel between the gears, and that's another hint that this is a pure uncompromising driver's car. And inside here, that's what it feels like. You know, it just feels like it's just set up to drive. That's all you need to do. Start the car, VTEC, and just drive. These seats are leather seats. They are not the most comfortable seats in the world. If you're a big person, you're going to struggle to sit inside this seat, especially to get in the car. But once you're inside here, the bolstering is pretty firm. And before you're going to buy this car and commit to it, I think you should actually just sit in the car, take it for a nice drive, and just feel if you're comfortable inside. On the safety side, very, very basic. We have an airbag in front for the driver and airbag for the passenger. And we have ABS, no traction control. Other than that, nothing, no safety inside here. There's only one mode, and that is the fun mode. So when you start this car, the fun starts. Another area where the interior is lacking is the sound system. The sound system in this car is another part that's absolutely ridiculous. It's extremely poor, and if you're going to get a Honda S2000 and you like your sound, I suggest you should look now into upgrading this system to some aftermarket components, because the sound in here is absolutely terrible. If you want to use this car on a daily basis, another part of the interior you need to think about is storage space, like the boot. The boot on this car is very small, only 140 liters. You won't be able to put in a big travel case. So if you want to go away for a weekend, you're going to have to maybe think about tog bags, bags that you can actually chuck into the boot and it can mold around the areas that's available. But you can forget about big suitcases and going away for weeks on end. You won't be able to do that quite easily with the Honda S2000. Now, if you drive a car without a roof, that's what guys refer to as a hairdresser car. Is this a hairdresser car? I don't think so. If you must park this next to a Boxster, I would say that the Boxster is definitely the hairdresser car. But this car has aged extremely well, even in today's times. I mean, this car was manufactured from 1999 until 2009. This car still looks extremely well. You can park this car next to a brand new 911, brand new Z4, new MX-5, and it just looks amazing. The shape, the long nose, the short rear with the roof obviously down. That's the way you need to look at this car. It's extremely sexy. Obviously it's got a vinyl roof, so you do need to watch out. People might vandalize your car where you park it somewhere. And we didn't get this car in a hardtop, so many people do say that they would have liked a hardtop, but at least in South Africa there was no hardtop S2000. So up front we have a 2-liter 4-cylinder 16-valve VTEC engine that's mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox, and then we have a limited slip diff at the back. Now what makes the Honda S2000 absolutely ridiculous is the amount of engineering that actually gone into the engine. The engine is a F-series engine, so it's part of the F-series range, and it also shares some of the engineering components from the K-series engine. Now this engine has a bore of 87mm and a stroke of 84mm. Now that is absolutely ridiculous for a normally aspirated engine, and it's still, even today, one of the highest output normally aspirated engines per litre in the world, and it's won a string of awards for that accolade. I mean, this engine, when it comes to the type of per litre output, you can compare this head to head against something like a 458 Ferrari, because that is how much engineering and capabilities have actually gone into this engine. Firstly, we have aluminium pistons, and we have the sleeves inside the block is fiber reinforced. So the engineering of this car, most of it has actually gone into mechanical parts of this car to deliver a driving experience that is absolutely insane when you're in VTEC mode, which we're about to experience very shortly. And it's just an absolute screamer all the way through to 9,000 RPMs. Between 7 and 9,000 is pretty much the sweet spot where you're in VTEC, but under that, it's pretty much dead. Power output, 177 kilowatt. Torque is 208 Newton meters. Now you do get two versions of this car. You get the AP1 and you get the AP2. I did some digging. I couldn't find that the version in South Africa got more kilowatt. In North America and other regions, the AP2 has got more kilowatt. It's not F20C, it's actually F22C1. So there are some differences between the engine. They've increased the bore and the stroke, and they've also increased the capacity of the engine. So instead of it being a 2-liter engine, it's a 2.2 engine, and it's made more power. In South Africa, I'm not sure if we do get that one, but this one that we're in right now is an AP1. So over the years, there are some people that have complained about the gearbox on this car. I've spoken to this owner, he's had no issues so far with the gearbox. Main complaint has been that the gears grind, but this car so far, 2005 model, 90-odd thousand Ks on the clock, has had no issues. I know some other Hondas like the Civic Type R FN2 is also known for gears grinding. But yeah, if you are going to buy S2000, just make sure, find out, can you do some digging to make sure that the gearbox on this car has had its oil changes at the correct time and that everything is fine with the gearbox. Try to drive the car from cold as well, so that when you drive the car cold, the oil actually needs to still warm up and just feel, are there any grinding in the gears. some daily driving in the Honda S2000 now, and I can tell you now that the dampening on the suspension is absolutely amazing. I've driven hard hatches that have way more worse suspensions when it comes to the drivability, and I think that's account for the double wishbone suspension. So we've got double wishbone suspension up front and at the back, and although this car that we're driving right now, it is fitted with a 10 low end suspension, so it does lower the ride quite a bit, but even with this lowered ride height, the dampening is absolutely amazing and soft. So if you do want to use the S2000 on a daily basis, I don't think you're going to have a problem when it comes to the dampening on this car, because it's absolutely comfortable to use every day. And for a sports car, that's what you want. You do want usability. What you aren't going to get with this car, which you might get frustrated depending if you live in Cape Town, if you live in Joburg, high altitude, low altitude, is the fact that this is not a high torque engine. So you really need to pull this car to get the best out of it. And you might find that frustrating overtaking people because you just don't have the power at the bottom. So when you drive the Honda S2000 in VTEC mode, the tune that it sings is absolutely amazing. It's the way this car wants to be driven. In order to get the best out of the Honda S2000, you really have to drive this car on the limiter. Now, let's ask the question, is this a daily driver car? Is this a weekend car? Is it a track car? It's very difficult to answer. It depends on the type of driver that you are, what you want out of the car. For me, I don't think this Honda S2000 is a daily driver. I think it's a terrible daily driver. I think it's a terrible daily driver, and the reason for that is because the lack of interior space and practicality. You don't know where to put your phone, you don't know where to put your sunglasses, there's barely any cup holders. If you do put your bottle somewhere, you're in the way with a hand lever. Is it a track car? I don't think so. The reason for that is because it's not set up for track. Yeah, it's got a double wishbone suspension and it's got amazing handling, but it doesn't have the performance that you're going to expect if you put this car on the track. And what do I say by that? Yeah, the engine is fine. It's a high-revving VTEC engine. But overall, as a package, the performance of this car is not set up for track day use. Because also the brakes is very poor. You have single piston caliper brakes up front. So although it's double ventilator discs front and at the back, you only have a single piston brake. So if you're going to drive this car on the limiter in a track environment, you're going to fry these brakes in no time. You're probably going to do 10 laps. You're probably going to do 10 laps, and then you're going to realize that your brakes is getting too hot and you need to pull back in. But what this car is a weekend car. And what you want out of a weekend car is fun. You just want to start the car and have fun. And that's what this Honda S2000 actually offers you. If you want an uncompromised driver's car that is purely focused on the driving experience, it's not focused on quarter mile times, it's not focused on lap times, it's not focused on winning any races, this car is it. It's an absolute amazing car to drive and actually just enjoy the roads, and great roads. So breakfast run type of roads, just enjoying a good day out, dropping the top, driving the car and experiencing Honda engineering at its best. That is what this Honda S2000 is about. We've just closed the top on the Honda S2000 just to experience what it's like to drive with the top up. And what I can tell you is that this car feels a little bit claustrophobic inside. And I mean, I'm not a big guy. The roof is not that close to my head, but it just feels like you know, inside a cave. And that's just something that comes with the territory if you buy a soft top car. Obviously there's wind noise as well that you can hear. It's not extreme, but because this is a cabriolet car, there is a certain amount of wind noise that just comes with the territory. And that's what you should expect if you're looking at a Honda S2000 as well. Let's talk about the price. Well, it really depends on what type of car you're looking for. Similar type of problems you'll have with finding a neat E46 M3, you're going to have finding a Honda S2000. So you need to ask yourself, am I looking for a garage queen, or am I looking for a car that has seen some decent use? But from my research, what I found is that anything under 220k is basically trash. if you want to buy a Honda S2000 in 2019, the price range that you're looking at is between 220, I would say 270, depending on what you want. Anything above that is a little bit extreme, and I haven't seen people really move cars. I have seen them advertise them at 350, but they're not moving them. But the price range for this car is between 220, I would say, and 265. Now, in that budget, obviously there are many competitors that you can buy. What else can you get? You can get an E46 M3 Cabriolet. You can get a BMW Z4, which for me wouldn't make sense to compare against something like an S2000, but that's something you could get as well. And then when this car came out, the direct competitor for this car was actually the Porsche Boxster, but that's a hairdresser car. Really, I wouldn't recommend that to any car enthusiast, unless of course you're a female car enthusiast, and that makes sense. But the Honda S2000 is really in a league of its own, and it actually doesn't have many direct competitors. So over the years, the prices have gone down, it's gone up, but it's pretty much fluctuated now. And you're looking at spending mid 200,000 to get a neat model. My name is Kurt from wheelindex.co.za, the place where South Africans go to do research when they're buying or selling a car. So if you need to check if a car's ever been in an accident or if it's stolen, simply go to our website, create a report, and we'll give you the details of the car. Catch you back next time. Ciao.